was once a bloodline of vital grains and goods for the southern United States, is now a long, interconnected network of trains that travel throughout the country. Gone are the days of railroads having multiple gauges throughout Georgia, now just sticking to the standard 4 foot 8.5 inches. Rather than mostly cotton and grain transported by rail, nowadays the South mostly sees intermodals and autoracks with the occasional coal train. In this series of videos, we'll look at some of Norfolk Southern's Georgia division lines that operate within the Great Peachy State. While not as busy as the Chicago line or the Transcon, the railroads here make up for it in some very scenic shots that are worth the wait. So sit back and enjoy this video of Norfolk Southern's South Atlanta District. We begin in Conley, just southeast of Atlanta. Here we catch NS 232, a southbound train from the Whittaker Yard in Atlanta, heading to Garden City, Georgia, which is not far from Savannah. This train has finished working in a yard in Atlanta, and is now hauling loaded cubes to the yard where a local in Savannah will run them through an intermodal facility for them to be loaded on ships and sent out by sea to their destination. We get to see NS's Savannah and Atlanta unit after being repainted not too long ago after spending a harsh winter in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. Next we arrive in Rex, a suburban town full of subdivisions and small businesses. Do not let the surrounding trees fool you into believing we're in the middle of a giant forest. There is a subdivision right behind us.
Southern, milepost 165.7, no defects.
Here we catch NS 291, departing from Inham Yard and heading to Simpson Yard in Jacksonville, Florida. Since this train does not have any stops along the way, it will speed through here on its way to go through Macon, Georgia. The unfinished paint on the cab of the trailing engine. NS 4118 was a former C40-9, a standard cab -9. The C40-9 does share the same cab style as the C40-8 and was the last locomotive manufactured by GE to offer the standard cab option. NS was the only railroad to order standard cab -9 locomotives and should not be confused with railroads that have similar looking C40-8s. 4118 was originally numbered 8843 and was involved in Norfolk Southern's program to rebuild all C40-9 and some C44-9W locomotives into AC44C6M locomotives. It was finished being rebuilt in the Roanoke shops in June of 2018 and given the number 4118, which originally belonged to a GP38AC. The new wide cab was part of the rebuild and only had a primer coat of paint for a while. These locomotives are often referred to as primer cabs or gray faces, and this was the case for this locomotive until it received a fresh coat of paint in late 2019. We are currently on the former East Tennessee, Virginia, and Georgia Railroad, or the ETV&G. It was created in 1869 from the merger of the East Tennessee and Georgia Railroad and the East Tennessee and Virginia Railroad. It bought the Macon and Brunswick Railroad in 1881, which stretched from Macon to Brunswick. This line, stretching from Rome to Atlanta to Macon, was built in 1882 to connect the rail purchased from the M&B to the rest of the ETV&G's system. In 1886, the railroad was sold under foreclosure and was controlled by the Richmond Terminal Company for about 6 years. In 1890, the ETV&G bought the Rome and Decatur Railroad. Then, in 1894, the ETV&G merged with the Richmond and Danville Railroad to form the Southern Railway. Moving to Locust Grove, we catch NS 735, a northbound coal train coming from the Shure Electric Generating Plant and heading to Memphis, Tennessee, where the BNSF will switch out the empties with loaded coal hoppers to be sent back down to the power plant. About a mile south is a train watching pavilion, built for rail fanners far and wide to watch the freight trains passing by at a safe distance. Here we see NS 177 from Elkhart, Indiana heading to Macon, Georgia.
Southern, milepost 195.1, no defects.
This train, along with two others, will hold up a northbound 55E from Albany for a couple hours while these trains pass by. Little warning, NS 372 from D-Butts Yard in Chattanooga to Dillard Yard in Savannah sneaks up on us near Jenkinsburg. Unfortunately, this is where I learned that having a clear lens cover makes it an extreme dust magnet.
.5. Track 1. No defects. Detector out.
Southern, milepost 195.1, no defects.
After a little while, we reach Flovilla, Georgia to catch NS-175, the counterpart to NS-174. Here we have just enough sunlight to be able to catch this train while giving an evening vibe to the video. With the kind of horn that the leading engine has, it gives a dead giveaway that this Dash 8 used to belong to Conrail. This train is going slow because it will need to stop at the siding ahead to allow a southbound train to pass around it. Note the signal here at milepost 206.9. This is an original GRS signal installed by the Southern Railway. The lenses on this signal are much larger than what they are on the modern SafeTran replacements. The mile marker below the signal is also original to the Southern Railway, with them using a cost-cutting measure by cutting out each individual number out and bolting them to the signal, rather than create a sign for each intermediate signal. However, this cost-saving measure comes at a price. With no reflective material on the numbers and them being painted black, they can be extremely hard to see unless if you're in ideal weather conditions.
Southern, milepost 208.0, no defects.
A few miles south and we get into the more rural area of Georgia, catching NS 282 from Jacksonville to Chicago on the dirt road with a passively protected grade crossing. The nearby trees and tall mountains make this scene look like a mountain of trees and rock were carved out just for this railroad to exist.
City coming to third. Circle line 1A. Empress Main, south direction. YYG 132.0 on the main. YYG 128. Norfolk Southern, milepost 219.3, no defects.
Heading south into Juliet, Georgia, we catch NS 210, an intermodal train from Jacksonville, Florida, heading to Atlanta. At this spot, a few feet ahead of us, is the Juliet Dam, a small yielding hydroelectric dam on the Ocmulgee River with the Juliet Mill in the background, and a former powerhouse for the dam that has been out of service since 1999. Since Eastern Hydroelectric Corporation, the owners of the dam, had their license revoked on October 16, 2014, this dam has not produced any power since. Their license was revoked since they didn't build a route for migrating fish when requested to do so. This has been a requirement at all dams since 2002, and the EHC had been repeatedly warned that its license would be revoked since 2007. Since then, there has been a constant back and forth argument whether to have the dam torn down or to let the community raise funding for a fish ladder. As 210 passes by, we see NS361 again. This train will have to wait for NS180 to pass by it before the 210 is allowed to proceed south. We do not see 180 until we reach Macon, about 20 miles south of here. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please be sure to give this video a thumbs up and to subscribe for more great content.